Hey y'all, what's going on? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hope you all having a great week and it's starting your weekend. I myself having a good day. And today is my Sunday. I go back to work tomorrow. And I'm here giving you a live. You see the thumbnail. Yes, we're going to talk about the documentary that aired in Netflix this past Wednesday, I believe, on the 16th of February. And it was the America's Next Top Model reality check. And I don't know if Tyra was the producer or not. I don't think she was, but at the end of the day, she participated on this documentary, as well as some of the main judge that was on the earlier seasons of Top Model, Miss J Alexander, Mr. J Manuel, and Nigel Barker. And they was the main judges that was on the documentary, as well as some of the contestants that participated and they shared their experiences. And it's all going to be all about the Top Model documentary and about reality TV discussion. Yes, that's the title to talk about, because I want people to understand the realm of what reality TV is and how it is and how it hurt people and what it is. And if it has some positivity to it, yes, we're going to talk about that too. And the time is shifted from what it is then and what it is now and what now. But what I'm going to say this. Everybody who was responsible for that show is accountable, should be held accountable for what happened to these ladies. That including Tyra, that's including Ken Mock, that including the productions, that's including the judges as well, Miss J, the J Manuel, Nagambako, they all, Najibaka, J's, they all are responsible. It should be held responsible, accountable for their actions to these girls. There's no escaping around it. And then like that. And just because Tyra is the face of the show, she don't take all the brunt of the discussions. However, she and productions all played a part on it. So we're not going to sit here to say that, oh, she could celebrate the success of some of the ladies. Let's to be honest, there's not much ladies that was successful from coming into the show. There are a few. But with 24 seasons, it wasn't a lot. And we could praise her vision, but also we can still call her out on how she treated the ladies. And I'm going to explain all of that. I'm not going to just sit here and just say, this is not my, I want to explain how I feel about everything. And I have a lot to say. So hopefully y'all come in and y'all share your opinion, because I just want to be sitting here just talking, and nobody can share their opinions and I can feedback with y'all. So I hope y'all share your opinions about how y'all feel. And if you do disagree, please be respectful at all, because I know today I was looking at social media, I had to block some people and I had to turn some people off, because what I'm not going to sit here and do, one day that's non-negotiable, and it's not going to be a agree to disagree situation. It's the SA situation with Shandy. I'm not sitting here. I wanted to nobody go call me in my channel saying that she deserved it. She know what she's doing. She a B. She needs to shut the hell up. All that stuff. Don't come in my channel and start saying that. If you feel that way, just keep it to yourself. People come on my channel know how I feel about stuff like SA and abuse, all that stuff. I'm not here for that. So if you feel that way about Shandy, please keep that to yourself. Do not come here with that, because you will get blocked. Please do not do that. Because I was like, we're not doing that here. How y'all feel about that? How y'all feel about that? Well, we're not going to blame it on her. We're not. So I might jump around. I may go in order and just go talk and let's have a conversation. America's Next Top Model started in 2003. That's the early 2000s. That's when reality TV show, the early 2000s, that's when reality TV show kicked off with a lot of shows competing to be the best, the top, and whatnot. And at that time, social media was not heavy or prevalent at that time. So we had to just watch the shows. It wasn't much of social media. Now these days, when we watch shows and social media and we have Instagram and Twitter and everything, we could talk about it. We could call things out, things that networks look at social media. They have their own social media page and everything. People have conversated and talk, and you could get engaged with the viewers is thinking. And sometimes they change their metrics. Sometimes not always the good thing, but sometimes it might be worth it to change how they move things based on what they seen in the interaction and how they see the viewers is viewing their show. But the early 2000s, we did not have that. We still had like something like MySpace was going on, the AOL and the emails and all that stuff was still going on. So we didn't have much social media. But doesn't mean that people who did watch the show back then still didn't feel some of the type of ways about what we're seeing now, or the people who seen it in 2020 and doing the panorama, seeing it. That's me. We ain't seen it back then. And even though the viewership was up there, because the reason why, because it was Tyler, is modeling. We wanted to see the pictures. We wanted to see the one way. We wanted to see the fashion. We wanted to, oh, sorry, I'm up here talking. Y'all, none of y'all say, Mr. Where's your face at? And I'm here talking. Hey, shine bright like a diamond. You're beautiful like diamond in the sky. I'm up here talking. I know I said, where's you? This is not an audio only review. You will see my face. And we wanted to see the fashion. We wanted to see the one way. We wanted to see it because we grew up knowing Tyra. We like Tyra. Whether you like her or not, it's all you. Not everybody like her. But we know she was a known model. She was a supermodel. She wanted to do something. She wanted to change the industry. She wanted to push the envelopes. She wanted to push against the industry standards of what beauty is and what a model could look like and whatnot. And we understand that. So she created a show, not only just to create a reality TV show. She wanted to create a show that's mirror American Idol in real world of the model industry, but also be the gateway and the stepping stool to push against the grain of what model is. And yes, teach the reality of the model industry and what the harsh reality is, but also push against that and help these ladies and make them successful in the modeling world to change the narrative. That was her vision. However, her vision got lost in the sauce throughout the years to come. And she was an executive producer. She was part of editing, because I don't know why she's in this documentary trying to act like she was not part of editing when she told us in the beginning of the documentary that she was in the editing room as well as being in the production. So she was just as much involved in editing how scenes are, what we've seen, as much like that. Now later, yes, she didn't completely 100% control the show, because once you put your show in a network, the productions takes over. They the one who is the boss. So yes, she does have a boss that she look up to do what they want her to do. And also she was the boss in the face of the network. So she had some pulls and stuff like that. So, but the vision of what it wasn't so much of let's these ladies come in, there's a competition, they win the prize and beat about their way. No, she made it, and her vision was to be the guiding light, to be that connector, and also develop these ladies doing and someone after the show. And the reason why I'm saying after the show, because the phone call she had with Danny solidifies what I feel like she knew what she could have had did more, but didn't do it. That's why I feel like Tyra she still held accountable because she is the face of the show. But however, she's not the only one held accountable. Everyone is responsible for these ladies and these horror stories that we are hearing. And let me say this before everybody get in their feelings about things. There are a few ladies that was successful. But however, this has been 24 seasons, and not many ladies have been successful in coming from the show and going into modeling world, completely doing modeling, or shifted just from that, or just doing acting and whatever that, just for the opportunities they got from being exposure of the show. But a lot of them say they didn't get their prizes they was promised, and the promise they did get, they did treat them differently because they had a stigmatization of reality TV at the time because they was not considered models. Some of the pictures that we had seen in some of the outrageous photo shoots they had to done, the over-the-top photo shoots, they cannot even use that when they had to do their portfolios. So all of that was not necessary. All of that was not preparing them for the model world if you just wanted to show entertainment. And what it became from the vision of expectations and helping them and guiding them in the model industry, it pushed the envelope, became more so the entertainment purposes and then more of the development. And as the years went by, it just shifted away. It just lost the vision. You lost the vision. It was lost. And yes, viewership was a lot back then. And don't be blaming us viewers. Oh, we want to know. We wanted to see the modeling. We wanted to see you. We want to see the ladies. We want to see the push the envelopes like that. But we did not sign up to see no negativity and whatnot. And yes, sometimes drama views ratings. We've seen that. We know that's part of reality TV show. That's part of the what it is. That's where a lot of reality TV shows start. Bring forth drama and use that as the force, the factor of their ratings of the show. But they have to realize, as much you doing so, after a while, people gonna start getting tired of that, and your viewership starting to decline. So it may be good at the beginning, but start declining. That's what happened in America's Next Top Model. After a while, the viewership started declining because of the different changes they made on the show, but also people get tired of it. Okay, so back in the early 2000s, it was a different time. It was that reality TV show was new. Many people didn't know what they were getting themselves into. I know a lot of people saying they never get. I said, do y'all think that? Because social media was not big that back then, they didn't have much to go on to know what it is unless they watched that season. And even then, they probably don't know the ins and outs of reality TV then. Now, 2026, as so much things has happened and so much things change and how we know how the reality TV show, yes, we would know that no matter what reality TV show you get on, most of them is not going to really have a great success story. How they treated you, how they isolate you, how sometimes they not feed you or give you limited meals or sometimes pump you with alcohol or put you in environments that make you want to have an argument, even though that's that. And so we have a lot more evidence now of reality TV that we had back then. Back then was new. That's when we had the American Idol starting, and Love and Hip Hop was going on, and the Bad Girls Club, and some of the reality, like the Real World, like a lot of those shows. Hey, Queso Red Boo, what's up? A lot of the shows was starting heavy at that time with limited social media presence. So our entertainment was mostly watching television, like the 90s stuff. Our own goal was watching television. We didn't have social media to go by to look at and see what's going on, to talk about these shows. So that was our entertainment. But as years went by, when social media started becoming more prevalent, like the when we had Twitter and stuff like that, that's starting to come out, or before Twitter and everything started to come out, people started to talk. And now we're starting to see the realities of what they was going through at that time. But their contract prevent them to speak out after getting eliminated. We find out that even with the ladies who we saw get eliminated, they ain't going home. They took them to the hotel room and they had to stay there till the production finished filming for the season. And we don't know how long that filming was. Sometimes the filming takes like a month because they travel overseas. But at the beginning of the season, they didn't do that. I think season 2 and everything they started doing overseas traveling. So we don't know how long it take. Sometimes film might take a month or 2 months, whatever. And then say, man, she was the first lady to get eliminated, and you had to stay there. We're not calling no one. You can't talk to anyone. And stay in that hotel room until it finished production, filming. A lot of us did not know that back then. So for somebody even saying that these ladies, and let's be for real, these ladies was 18, 19 years old. Reality TV was just getting started. It was just getting big. Nobody know what it was. We seen scripted shows before and everything, but we did not see what reality TV show was and how heavily it started coming. So a lot of them didn't know what was going on. And we as viewers were just young, like this 2003. And if I remember correctly, I graduated in high school 2004. So I was in high school around the time. I was in high school. Then I went to college. Now I think about it, I said, damn, I was in high school going to college. And I'm gonna watching Top Model go to college. And I remember I stopped seeing Top Model after a while because it started getting stupid and boring. It started getting stupid. And I think the All-Star season was the last season I watched. Anything after that, I did not see. I did not see the British invasions. I did not see the college edition. I didn't see the guys and girls cycles. I didn't see them when they eliminated. I didn't even know they eliminated Tyler or like canceled Tyler and put Rita Ora as a host. I did not know that because I stopped watching a long time ago. So after a while, I had stopped. So yes, we understand. Like Sherry Shepherd said, I will play her clip later on, so not that. Like Sherry Shepherd said, it's hard for a black woman to try to push the envelope to try to change the industry to get a lot of no's. And when she finally got yes from UPN and whatnot, they took over. She ain't had 100% control of the show. So decisions was made. And sometimes hindsight now, 2020, it was some effed up decision. However, we understand that. We understand the vision. We understand that Private should get the props for creating the vision, creating the show, trying to push the envelope, trying to get other people in the network and the model industry. And that something may have changed and may have had an impact in the model industry to a certain degree. However, it does not take away from the stories we be seeing in these ladies' experiences. And that's what people have to understand. Just because, yes, we could understand Tyler's vision and her impact and what the show did, it also mirrors that a lot of the negativity still was there. So if you're going to be in it and this is your show, you got to take the good and the bad and embrace it. And I feel like in Tyler, she didn't really take much accountability in a lot of things. And even though at some attempts, she did apologize. She apologized, but this person was responsible. And it was a lot always deflected in somebody else's fault and then her own. It may be so that it was their responsibility, but also you was part of the show and you was the executive producer of the show. So you had a hand in knowing what was going on. And she was spacey and throughout the thing, and it's like it's like I was like, oh Tyler, what's going on? Why are you so spaced out, cadet, in this freaking documentary? It just was like a void in her eyes. So So the shift of the time of reality TV show at the day, we don't know. And a lot of people say, oh, they know they're getting so. I said they probably didn't know what they was getting themselves into with the reality TV well. The first, second, third season, whatever. After that, yes, people see the show and they say probably they want to be it. They just as much hunger and to get in the show, but still, things was changing throughout the years having that going by. Now we start in reality TV show. They may have a therapist is on set. They may have a psychologist. They may have a psychiatrist. Whatever it is, they may have a coach, or they may have stylists that will hit to different backgrounds. Like with Ebony, we're gonna talk about that one. None of the people who they will do makeovers. None of the people don't even know how to handle a black girl's hair, and she wanted to go to her own stylist because it was in New York at the first season. I think the first season was in New York. She could have did that. I kind of get on the train, go to Harlem, and get someone to cut my hair based on what you wanted, and they didn't want to do that. They had three ass people, white people don't even know how to handle her hair, gave her a bunch of bald spots, and then say the producer said, "Oh, you will be Ashley." Ashley, like what was that? So this is type of things that we have to take consideration. So yes, at the time, social media was not prevalent and whatnot. And yes, a lot of people on 2020 who watched the show, who've been watching American Top Model, pick up on some of the things. But doesn't mean at that time that was probably acceptable. Doesn't mean it still was right. It was not right at that time. It is that we didn't have the outlet to speak on that. But doesn't mean the people who watch it didn't pick up on it. And yes, maybe when I was young, I was so fascinated about the show. I loved Top Model. I loved the vision. I loved this. I loved what they was doing. But at the same time, some things they was doing a lot. They was doing a lot. And we had no outlet to talk about these things. Now, when we had Twitter, then we had Instagram, we could talk about this stuff now. Make comments. See other people's viewpoints. But we didn't have it then. So no, don't shame us or condemn us. Oh, we wanted this and we wanted that, and we kept going. Maybe the viewership showing it, but at the same time, we also want y'all to be authentic and be real with these girls and treat them with respect. And as years go by, and not just Top Model and other reality TV shows, when people start talking about their experiences, they will start seeing the negatively side effects of reality TV. That's why I'll say you would never see me go on a reality TV show. I don't want to do that. First of all, you're not forcing me to do anything I don't want to do. I'm going to eat. I'm not fighting nobody because I want to fight. I'm not a fighter, so you're not putting me no value in the fight because I would get the fuck out of that show. I would leave. No, I'm not doing all that. I have a good time. I enjoy myself. I'm not being forced to have no arguments with nobody. None of that. So you will not see me doing reality TV. No. So that what it was. The time was different back then and not. However, we still cannot take the way that this happened to the ladies. And even if the ladies was successful, like Eva mentioned her thing that she didn't have no idea that something was going on. Now, I don't know. I believe that 100%. However, I'm not going to discount Eva's story because I'm not Eva's body. I was not there with Eva, all that stuff. But I do remember Eva. She was a diva. She didn't get her name for no apparent reason. And she was mean to some of the ladies in her season. I remember that. But I did like her a little bit. But she was mean to some of the ladies. So maybe she didn't see what's going on because maybe she was part of the problem a little bit. But go through her thing. But she just one of the few success stories that came out of that show. So yes, she could give Tyra her props, give Tyra her thanks. And yes, I don't think nobody's knocking Tyra and what she did, her vision, but we also have to understand that Tyra, you got to take accountability of what happened too with some of a lot of these ladies. A lot of ladies did not get this Eva success story. Even some of the winners did get Eva success story. Or Yaya wasn't a winner, but she came very successful there. Takara has done some well jobs in her endeavors. Winnie Hollow, she didn't win, but she got exposure and she become real big in the model industry. And Isis the Strand, she did some good things. So it was a few ladies that really took what it was, and Miami maybe was good on their side after they won or had exposure from the show. However, it was still a stigmatization of models from the top model, and Tyra knew that. She knew that. And your vision was to push that doors open for them, even after they won. And after they won, you just threw them in the wolves. And I don't want to hear nothing. Oh, she don't owe them nothing. Yes, she did, because her vision of the show was that. Her vision of the show was to push the envelope and open doors for everyone and change the narrative. So by changing that, you got to take full force of everything of the development of the ladies. So when they win, and you know that maybe you could have started your own industry. Maybe you had to make some calls for some of the ladies to win, and you know they were struggling. And you had the knowledge. So don't tell me that you creating a show to make the vision and then get on the show and then criticize the ladies of what the industry. I said, that's the case. You should hire the ladies that was part of the modern industry business of this. We will never see an Ebony. We will never see a Danny. We probably never see a Yaya. We will never see Eva. You should have had a white blonde bimbos as your contestants and just go with the standard. I don't want to say that, but that's what it was. But that's not what your vision was, right? You want to push the envelope. By pushing the envelope, you knew doors were going to be closed for some of these ladies, so you should have just did more. That's all I'm saying. And take accountability of how you treated these ladies. Because your vision wasn't to knock these ladies down. And yes, you want to get the harsh reality, but you don't end up turning becoming a Naomi to these ladies after Naomi did that, what you do. Remember, we all sit down and saw the Tyler talk show where she had issue with Naomi, how Naomi treated her when she was in her industry. And to come around and have your own show and become a Naomi and go industry to these ladies. That's messed up. That's messed up. So your vision got lost. You lost the plot. And no, Tyra should not take all the blame. But she's part of the problem. She's part of the problem. And just because we called her out on it, and maybe a lot of people now in social 2020 and past 2020 got more outraged by seeing the show, doesn't mean they are wrong for calling it out. It doesn't mean it was wrong back then. It is that at the time, people brushed a lot of things over because that's what thing. But the problem is, by keeping quiet, that's how, like the producer of Kid Rock, who was executive producer of Top Model, he was also executive producer of Making the Band. And you know how that went down. We know who was part of Making the Band. I'm not going to say his name. Y'all know his name. That was problematic against itself. So, we had to call this out. And because we watched it and we probably enjoyed it, now that we've seen these people's storylines and their experiences, now as us being older, who's probably fans of it, now can realize the problem of the thing. And I can't sit here over defend someone that I don't know. She don't know me. Tyra don't know me for a can of paint. So I'm not going to over defend her. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these ladies, the success rate of some successful models that made it big is very low. So I'm not going to go by the low number of success rate. I have to go by the high number of people who did not make it or who had horrible experiences before, during, and after the show from being exposed to the reality TV world. It's time to say, you know what? I'm just going to create a show, teach the ladies the harsh reality, and call it out today. And not push the envelope, not trying to change the models industry. And I said, you know what? No, all right. That's what you want to do. But don't get here and trying to push the envelope with the diverse group background and then beat them down because that's the modern industry. And maybe rightfully so. However, You should not be the part of the problem. You should not be one of the persons to beat them down. Teach their harsh reality. And Janice also is a part of the reason. I think they're gonna have another documentary in March, and we will all watch that, and we will talk about that too. And we'll have Janice Dickinson on it because she was just as much problem as much as anything, and she was very cool in how she said talked to these ladies. I didn't really care for Janice. I really didn't like her. I remember watching watching my Top Model. I said, "Why is this girl on the show? Why is she here? She's here." I don't care what the freaking model industry is. Y'all was trying to push the envelope. So because y'all want to try to push the envelope, y'all will try to change that narrative. So don't only try to get here and try to adhere to the model industry while you try to push the narrative. It doesn't work that way. You only go stick to one or stick to the other. And that's the problem I had. So I might get a little emotive and emotional and stuff like that. But hey, that's a part of the review. Below. So they start with that viral moment. We all vote for you. You know, everybody talk about that. You know, people say that in reviews that we vote for you. We all vote for you about that Tiffany. And come to find out, that was Tyler said way worse to Tiffany that day. And to come to find out that production had to put Tyler aside and tell her, "Wow, girl, you told me too much." And then I had lawyers on the set the next week or the next day. So what we see was not scratched the surface. It was scratching the surface. It was worse that she said to her. So I said, "What exactly?" And you know what she's saying? Um, um, yes, I went too far with Tiffany and everything, but I see myself with Tiffany, and I see the things that would happen to me and this that. So I said, so you just unleashed the years of mistreatment up to you and all that, and trying to make a statement by berating Tiffany because she didn't cry and grovel like some of the girls is, and she didn't broke down in front of you. It seemed like you wanted her to break down. And when she said, "Girl, I'm alright. I can't cry," or something, I think. And it doesn't mean that she wasn't hurt. Doesn't mean maybe she wanted to go home in her own room and cry out. Doesn't mean that she didn't want to do that. But you berated her to the point that Jay Manuel says he can't even repeat what you said because it was so crazy. Because I remember they would talk about you remember, I do remember the season they kept trying to talk about Tiffany upbringing, how she was poor, how's this that, how this that. They keep bringing in like it's like a pet project. It seemed like it was a pet project for them. Timona's good because she was on last season. She was supposed to be on Eva season, but I guess she got fight. She had a fight in the bars and everything, so they had to let her go. And then they brought her back again, and they trying to ship the molder. And then when she got the elimination, she was like, "All right, good. Don't even cry for me, y'all. I'm good." Because she didn't give the reaction they wanted. She got berated. To me, for me, that was the real title when she berated her. And when yeah, because because she cares. You care, but you said a lot of low down stuff to her, right? Yeah, so Tyra said she wanted to show beauty in a different light. She didn't want to go by the grain of salt what model is about just one beauty standards that you gotta be thin, you gotta be tall, you gotta be the light brights, not the light brights, loosely paper chicks. That standard. She wanna push the envelope. So she created this show. She shopped around to different networks. A lot of them were saying no until UPN. UPN was their last stop. If UPN wouldn't say no, then it would have been on that American Next Time Model on our screens back then when it aired in 2003. It wouldn't have been. So she wanted to have a reality TV show to model, to showcase what she wanted to vision, what she wanted to do, and show the reality of modeling. So what she did make saying that a lot of backlash happened when people in Panorama, when a lot of things couldn't been, when a lot of things shut down, people had to be home and they've been watch old shows like that. And Top Model was one of the shows, A lot of backlash came from that because they started to see what was happening. And they put a name or they called out the mistreatment of the ladies then than back then. And well, because of that, back then we didn't, like I said, we didn't have big on social media to talk about these shows. Even though I think some stuff was called out, but not to the degree that we have when we easily access to media. So Ty was a role model to a lot of the ladies. She was the gateway. People know Ty was. She was a supermodel. This, that. They talk about a little her upbringing, and then she wanted to create the show. She wanted to change the model industry, change what beauty is, change what the standards is. What could be a great model? With that change come with a lot of responsibility. So don't do that and get on the show and then become what the industry was. That's the problem I had. That's the problem I had with her and the production. So because y'all started becoming another reality, it didn't give a damn. It was just a number to these girls. These ladies was just a number in viewership and cash grabs. So she connected with Ken Mock. Ken Mock was also executive producer on Making the Band at the time because he was on his documentary too, so he talked about it. And they wanted to mirror the American Idol with real world, and that's what happened. And they did that. So she brought in some people to help with that. One way. Models have to do one way. Catwalk. Jay Alexander. Well-known one-way instructor. Very good. Had a long, nice legs. A gay black guy who was part of the Tyler life when she was 16 in her world. I'm going to talk about how she treated her friends too. We're going to talk about that too. And in her world, help her develop her as a model. So she brought him in. And then they wanted to artistic creative director or whatnot. So Jay Manuel became that. He was another gay guy who was probably makeup artist at the time, and they were good friends and whatnot. He did other portfolios, so they put him in the show. And then after they were successful, and then production said, "You know what? We had two gay guys. We need a white, straight, heterosexual man. No more gay people." So they brought in Nigel Barker, who was a photographer. So Tyler, Nigel, and the Jays was the team. There was a package. So the UPN, the president at the time was Donna. She would say they was in the last leg, and the head of that UPN network and other networks, Les Manuves, and I think at the time, at first season, she wanted to bring a Latina lady, and they said, "Oh hell no!" And Tyler was going back and forth, and try to fight to get a Latina lady on the show. So they end up getting Giselle for the first season. So, at the time, they had the Revlon package, they had the Wilhelmina package, and they also wanted to show the reality of the modeling world. So they did that, what they're doing, like, Big Brother, when they filmed them 24/7. But we get the edited version, but we never get to see, like, the behind the scenes. Big Brother, they do, like, they give us the edited part, and then they put online the other assets. You can see what's happening behind the screen 24/7 on there in your own time and see what was going on. That was that. They were filming 24/7. We only get the edited version for like an hour. Some ladies that was talking in the first season, we had Shannon, Cycle 1, we had Ebony, Cycle 1, and then we had Giselle, Cycle 1. They was talking about. And then Ebony, at the time, we didn't know, was a major prominent lesbian, black lesbian lady in reality TV. Well, we hadn't seen nobody like that before. So, I mean, she was kind of like outed, but I guess she was okay. But at the point, maybe we should have discussed it with her before you say, "Oh, you're a lesbian lady," like that. And how she gave us the moment. And he said, Yes, that's Ebony. And she was all in New York. She spent her experiences of the makeover and how the artists, the people didn't know how to handle her hair, and she wanted to leave to get her haircut done, so who know how to do it, but they said no, so she had to suffer through the people who didn't know how to cut her hair and gave her bald spots. And I remember Ebony. I said Ebony was a beautiful woman. She had the nice skin. She had the color, and it was like great. And then you go say the judges come out, and the time had a conversation while saying that people think that you ashy. What was that ashy about? What was about her that was ashy? Because I don't know her being ashy. So she said she had to take about doing by I guess maybe oiling her skin more and doing things and trying things so they won't have much to say about her. But yet, that's another thing. You come to her saying that the judge is saying that she just ashy. What was that about, Tyler? Like, can you talk about it? Like, this is a bad girl. She don't have no ashy skin. What you talk about? Like, no. That's what problem I'm saying. Like, so what way you were trying to push it back on the narrative and trying to criticize these girls and trying to break them down about things? I don't care what the judges say. Talk to everybody and say and see for yourself. So Ebony talk about that, and she talked about her experience, and then Giselle talk about hers, and Shannon talk about hers. I don't like that all the specifics of what the experience was, but that was that. So the makeover, that's another thing that was a big prominent thing with let models get in the show and the makeovers. Some didn't like their makeovers, and some had to embrace it or whatever or stuff. Like I said, Janice Dickinson was horrible. She was saying too much, and I would say, Tyra, why are you letting this lady criticize and talk down on her, and you were trying to push the narrative? Yes, we understand, but we not here to figure follow the model industry standards. We try to push it. And after a while, Tyra did and her start going back and forth. After a while, Tyra did start going back and forth with Janice. They said, girl, you need to pipe down. So we know that Shannon said she signed an IGN IMG agency and after the show, but she didn't win the show. But Adrian won the show. And so after the first season of because they had a budget at the time. They had like I guess they was in one hotel suite. They did one in one room and then another room and this they here. So they had to do everything. It was part of editing. So the first season was that. But from that, she was nervous. She wanted to see what people were ratings, what people were saying, and then it was successful. So to the point they picked up another season. And with the second season, that's when they had the bigger budget. So I think sometimes as models were saying that the production was end up production had a way to try to get these ladies to go against each other. And we seen that. We seen the cat drama. We seen the drama that's happening. And then sometimes it's like a natural thing when you put a group of people in a room together, staying together, living together, who probably don't even know each other like that. And some things might come arise naturally, a drama that might come forth. But also we understand that production may have a hand in forcing some of these dramas. But let's take away that some of these ladies was probably nasty. Like I remember Giselle. And I think I remember Giselle was mean spirited. I remember her. I remember Robin was doing a lot. And I do remember they was talking about Giselle being wide ass, and that probably comment that's like haunt her to this day. She didn't like that. They keep calling her wide body or all that stuff. And that's the point. That's the problem. I'm gonna say, okay, we understand that, but you hired her. So what you want her to do? Get surgery to stretch her weight down? No, you got her. Even though I didn't even care for Giselle, but at the same time, I was like, if y'all got these ladies, accept them who they are to change the things. So the comments like that should not be coming out your mouth. We should embrace each individual models who they are. Should embrace them. Oh, y'all hear me? It's all right. Should embrace them. So a lot of these ladies thought to be protected, and they should have been protected. And it's hard to me that people saying online, "Oh, Tyler don't own them nothing," and this is the harsh reality. I say, yes, we understand the reality of the model world, and we understand that they should be prepared. And there's a way for them to prepare them for the reality world, but also have your vision. Your problem with your vision was y'all was giving too much of the harsh reality model in the world and losing the focus of what you were there to do, to uplift this girl, to make a change. So F the modeling industry world and prepare them for the harsh reality. So maybe teach them and say, you know what? They're gonna have this kind of way of viewership. You might experience this thing. This is my experience happening when you go to overseas. This is my experience when you do things, and people might have harsh things to say about your body weight. But I'm here to give you confidence, show you confidence, let you know that you can walk in the room. Because I was criticized to be having a big forehead, but she made it, and then what she had to do. That's when you was there to uplift the girl. So every girl you put on the show, all that stuff that you know the model people was going to come after them for, you uplift their confidence and let them propel their project, because they whole being. And what let doors open for you probably will let doors open for them if y'all prepare them for the realm, but also build their confidence up, not break them down, show them what they could do. And so when they get out the show, they know how to prepare for this world. But I seem like y'all didn't do that much. Y'all didn't do that. And I want to hear that. Oh, that's the model of the world. That's the model of the world. No, you trying to change that narrative. That's my opinion. Trying to change the narrative. So we get Ebony. I go back to Ebony. She was getting the aggressive edit. So just so you know, at reality TV realm, that's when we started learning how reality TV shows were starting to do, because we had no background on reality TV. Is we was joining the show and what it was, but we come to find out we started to learn the other side of things. The reality TV show, how if the reality TV productions wanted to portray a particular edit of you, they could do so by editing the films and your footage to produce a narrative. So by them criticizing Ebony, they was giving her like this aggressive, mean spirited edit. And now that was she really was. And now someone who was trying to make it, who trying to please the judges, trying to please Tyra, trying to please everything, but also here to her own self-confidence, here to her own self-identity. But no, they was giving her this edit. And then we started to see in years to come, shows do that. If they like you, they edit you a certain way. If they don't like you, they give you a different edit. And sometimes, yes, you give them what they could edit. But at the same time, we do know sometimes that if they want to push a narrative, they will do so. So the Shandy thing. So she said some of the goods come from no validation. Shandy was one of them. She came from no family background. The family was not there for her. She didn't really have a mother or father to be there for her. And I think that's the time they bought a psychic, and psychic was telling Shandy that you didn't have nobody to hug you. You had no back, and she just wanted to hug. She just wanted to love. So she came from walking in Walgreens, think that she could make it. They think that she got like that. And Shady, for the most part, did have do a good job, somewhat in the competition until what happened in Milan. And this was the second season, and this was the time they went to Milan. And this one they brought Nigel Barker in. He came in during the second season. You know, a nice, attractive man, a photographer, straight and whatnot. I think European. I think he was European. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. Or British. So that's when they was starting going. And every season after that, they was always go to a trip. Like they was China, you know, Japan, and a lot of different places. That so they went to Milan, and my issue with that was these girls was 18, 19 years old, very young. A lot of people probably even never been out of the United States to go to another area, to go to another country. To get them to do their job over there, have them hotel room, book guys over to the room, which I feel like you should never book no guys over. I said, what the hell is this? We don't need no guy interaction. So we'll be able to try to create supplying alcohol to the ladies. A lot of ladies drinking, didn't have time to the point that you start seeing a lot of them get intoxicated. Shady was one of them. She started getting intoxicated. She could not consent. She's in and out. To the point that you seen. I remember if I'm trying to remember correctly, they showed that she was kissing the guy and everything, but they didn't show the thing. She was in the shower and then the guy would have sex with her. She said she remembered somebody on top of her and everything. I knew the act was happening, but she was out of conscious and she could not know what happened. The next day she was woke up in the shower. So all this was being filmed. It was being filmed. Problem is that, first of all, why y'all supplying so much alcohol to these ladies, and why these guys was there. The minute that you saw her start getting drunk and then intoxicated, that was it. No, you guys got to go. And nobody, none of the contestants, none of the production, nobody came in and stepped in and stopped what happening. So Shady was SA. Call like you is. If you don't agree with that, keep it to yourself. Shady was SA. Back then when we was watching it, we probably didn't even know. And then they spin the narrative of that and make it seem like she was cheating. This was remember that scene Tyler came in saying, you know, when I was in there, my boyfriend cheated on me. And so I said, what was that cheating thing come from? You wasn't even there. So how this cheating conversation came about? So they spin it to make us feel like she was cheating. You know, when something happens to you, and back then, yes, this might be probably a big thing in the modern industry that ladies get sexual assaulted and or entertainment industry, music industry. We hear all these stories, and they're not protected because the male dominated, and they think that you had a hand, you shouldn't have been doing this, you shouldn't have been doing that. I said, girl, y'all responsible for having these freaking teenage girls in this room, whether Milan it was illegal or not to drink. That's besides the point. You had a responsibility to look after these girls, but no, you wanted the ratings more, and then she wanted to leave the show from that. And I said at the time, people are putting a name to what it is. Now we know the name to it. Those sexual assaults, and I don't care if that was the environment. Yes, maybe it was, but it was still wrong. And the fact that she wanted to leave and y'all did not want to leave, and then she had to say, and it was like, oh, she wanted to leave, want you to leave, want to leave, and y'all kept not going to leave. And I said, oh, they want to give her the phone and whatnot. So as she was keeping threatening to leave, a phone finally magically appeared. But they gave her the phone and said you can talk to her. I think they was a doctor, and they filmed her when she was a doctor and something like that and whatnot. And they filmed her have a conversation with her boyfriend, and that's when she said, "You cheated, you had sex," and call her a bitch and all that stuff like that. I said, first of all, fuck that boyfriend. F that boyfriend. I said it. Yes, I said it. F that boyfriend. I don't give a damn. Whether how you feel about that or not. Especially I was like the boyfriend on the scene, what was happening, maybe he had a different tune, but he just go about with that. And she was confused. So forced her to have the conversation and film that. And then they realized the production, the filmers was coming like, you know what? I'm sorry we had to film this. So why film in the first place? Like, I mean, and that's the type of shit that we talk about with reality TV show. They care so much about their ratings and not so much about the well-being. So at that time, a lot of these ladies didn't know no much better of what was going to be. They was looking at the production and Tyler to protect them. Now, 2026, we will know that. We know that you cannot expect these people to protect you. They put you in situations and they all care about their shows and their ratings. So if you decide to get your stuff on these shows, then you know you should not expect them to protect you at all. So that kind of shattered her world. She said she blacked out. She don't remember. No one stopped it. They filmed it. It was crazy. So when all that sudden started, that's when the next scene that started all of a sudden what made her talk about cheating. That we started knowing that the production wanted to frame that Shandy cheated, not that Sandy was SA. And I felt like they would have said that, it probably would have been a lawsuit against them. So whatever that. So they went that realm, but not knowing that that decision affected Shandy's life now. And for me to see comments, even people I have followed before, I have blocked, I unfollowed them and blocked them. Because what I'm not going to sit here doing for y'all to call her a B, she just shut the hell up. She know what she was doing, and this is that, and she was getting on drunk. And so I said, so you mean to tell me if you get drunk, you are well, you and your they and the person they invite to have sex with you because you got drunk. That's what you tell me. So it's your fault if someone has sex with you because you know what you're doing by getting drunk. Once you get drunk, you lose your consent. You lose your ability to consent. Whether or not she was in the bathtub kissing the guy and all that. Maybe she didn't know what she was doing. Maybe her body was just going on with that. But when the point of the act of sexual contact coming on and she blacked out, she don't remember and she didn't get out consent, that's not consent. That's not consent. So for y'all to say she know what she's doing, she just shut the hell up. She was not XA. She just this, that. I say y'all the plausible point, and that's a problem we have now. Because when women come out and they tell their story, y'all find y'all freaking toothpick and criticize and break down everything they said to the fine-tooth nail and make it seem like she got to be a perfect victim. Oh, she's not crying. Or why she didn't go to police, or why she didn't do this, and did she know what she was doing? She was drunk, and she knows she was doing when she was wearing that dress, and she just say all that, and not able to say nothing about the guy who did that to them, to the guy who sexually assaulted them. You have all these criticisms about the victim. So people online and whatnot saying she need to shut the F up and you was not SA and you the blame because you got drunk. I said, nah. So what if she decides to drink her freaking eyes to the floor? Does not give the person the right to have sexual relations with her or assault her without her consent. And she can't consent when she's inebriated anyway. And if you a person who's saying that, I better hope you better hope that don't happen to you. Because I know when my friends and my friends with me, if anyone to get a drunk, I usually don't like to get drunk. Because I like to be aware of what's happening around me. Because I know people start taking advantage when they see someone who's vulnerable and who can't consent. Instead of going to after the person who can't consent, it goes someone who's really well, who could probably give you the experience you want. You go after the person who can't and take advantage of them. And then blame them. Oh, you was wrong. You know what you was doing. F out of here. So like I said, I want to hear nobody come on my page saying that if saying he deserved it, because you will get locked, you get blocked. I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that. I'm not here for that. Y'all know, y'all follow my channel, y'all know how I feel about stuff like that. Don't want to see it, and I will block you. I don't care how long I follow you. That was wrong, and that was definitely freaking wrong. And when they asked Tyra about it, Tyra acted like she didn't even remember. And I said, how you don't remember? And when she also brought her to your show and she told you she didn't want to see it, and y'all still played the clip. I said, F out of here. So when somebody criticizes Tyra, this is what we're talking about. And she said, oh, yeah, it was messed up with Sandy, but I had no control of that. That was production. I said, girl, at the end of the day, they told you, what's up, what happened with Sandy. And not only that, you had it on your talk show and you know how she felt about that. For you to try to act like you don't remember Shandy, because you saw the document, she was like, I said, bitch, don't try and sit here act like you don't remember the freaking happened. Don't do that. Don't do that. So around that time, I think that was like 2004 when Janet Jackson had the Super Bowl and she performed, and they gave Janet hell after it was a wardrobe malfunction that Justin Timberlake ripped off her thing, and she didn't meant to that happen, and she gone out covered it real quick, and from that people ridiculed Janet and they blackballed her for a little bit. But Justice went to scot free, even though he the one who ripped the ball off. But Janet was freaking ridiculed. So from that, a lot of networks changed what you could show on the show. So they had to re-edit it with the scene and what they could show and what they cannot show to us. So because Top Model was so successful, sometimes when a show gets successful, we like a Traders or something like that. Usually other international shows pick up. Like, they had Germany Next Model and Mexico Next Top Model. They had a lot of Top Model shows because America did that. And it was successful. The other areas did that. Start mimicking the show. So she was saying, Top said, oh, viewers wanted this. Viewers want to see more. They were pushing more, so we had to push the boundary. I said, viewers liked the show because of what the show it was, not because of how you was treating the ladies. Like, come on now, we didn't don't try to blame us of what y'all doing. Because after a while, y'all started taking way too far, and doing way too much to the ladies, doing way outrageous photo shoots that some of these photo shoots they can't really use. That's what I'm saying. How you preparing them for the model world when you know that a lot of photos that you was making these ladies do, they can't be used at their portfolio when they're in the modeling industry. So you should have scaled it down and used photos that were susceptible in the industry, and not so much for the television. So production of American Top Model was taking some of the ladies' fears and using it against them. So ladies, one lady we have fear of height, so probably use a height photo shoot. Some of them fear of gun violence. They had like a photo shoot of the gun violence and everything. And the photo shoot started getting crazy. Now Danielle, season 6, y'all remember Danielle? And they took Danielle and Joni, who was on also documentary. They were also both for season 6. And the reason why I had liked Danielle, because look at me. Y'all know something that I have that me and Danielle have in similarity? Put it in the chat. I would say a representation of me, a black woman on television who's a Southern girl, proud of her gap. Exactly. Thank you, boo. Proud of her gap. Me seeing it, growing up, watching someone who's like me who has the gap, seeing that how beautiful it is. I'm proud of my gap. I had nobody. I don't care how old you are. Like I know, I mean, like growing up, I didn't really have much bullies or people teasing me about things like that. So I was probably grateful for the time being. But maybe a few people trying to talk about my gap, but I never felt bad about it. Never asked, never have, and never will. Thank you, boo. Never have and never will. I don't care who you are. I'm 40 years old now, and I always had this gap, and I love it because people love my smile. I love to smile. If you say you got a beautiful smile. So I don't care. If I were getting a show like that, I would be like a Danielle. I said, no, I'm not closing my gap. Because that's what make who I am. For me, watching this show, I was so happy to see someone who has a gap like me. And proud. I see a black woman, a black person who has it, who stand on it, who proud of who she is, and proud of that. And for Tyra to say, oh, you got easy, this is what other people see. I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. Because you brought her into the show knowing she had that gap. And that's you're supposed to push the envelope of showcasing every beauty and imperfection of a woman. Nobody want to be perfect. Perfect teeth, perfect height, perfect size. That's boring. I don't understand how the modern industry would accept them boring. That's boring. And people say, oh, well, nobody forced Danielle, nobody put a gun. I said, y'all need to stop that fucking shit. At the end of the day, she was forced. Because at the back then, what dreams, people want to be next time, want to be a top model like a Tyler. When you have a Tyler, a black woman, coming to show, who push the envelope, who bring other people in. This is the gateway. At the time, now when we got bigger social media, you don't need to go on the show to become a big on model and stuff like that. Because now modeling industry, they take people from social media thing, go to model industry, agencies get signed, do one ways, do model, stuff like that. So now these days, you have more access to become a model than just the gateway people. At this time, this is a gateway. It is probably their only chance to get into the model industry at this time. This is a girl's 18, 19 years. This is their mindset. They don't have a figure 30 or 40 or 50 years mindset who could have other opportunities. This is young girls who think that this is the one-stop ticket to the modeling industry through Tyra in the show. So yes, it may not be no formal object forcing them to do so, but this was their dream. And you telling this lady, if she don't close her gap, she was going home. And first of all, you will try and teach ladies to stick up for themselves and stand up for themselves. So when they stand up for themselves, you ridicule the girls who stand up for themselves. Y'all have been doing that this season. We seen that. We seen that. So what was your vision is starting getting lost. Your vision was lost because you was not there to help to prepare the model industry. You became the model industry. You became the Naomi. So when they told her she had to go to the dentist, she said, "No, I like my guy. I'm not going." So they so you want to get a guy? It's like, oh, see, I said so. And then what fucked about that? You made this black woman close her gap and had struggles in the model industry, but years later, seasons later, you like this loosely clipped chick, her gap and widen her gap. That's effed up. That's effed up. So she could be like this another model that's out there. None did something. So it was she had to widen her gap, but Danielle had to close her gap, or she would have gone home. That's messed up. And I understand why Tyler Danielle would never fuck with Tyler or they would care about it. I said, girl, you bullshit. Like you got me through hell. So because this was her gateway, she decided to do it. She could not call her mother and whatnot. I think she called her mother. She was able to call her mother and say, they want me to go home. She said, her mother said, I will be here open arms when you close the gap or not. But you know you're gonna be coming home if you don't close it. So she ended up having to go do it. Joni, on the other hand, she had to bite. It's like that's her teeth. Joni, I felt sorry for her because they had her on the freaking chair for hours, And till this day, she have a messed up overbite. She said it. To this day, she have a messed up bite because what they did in her mouth. And she couldn't even call her parents and nothing. She had to sign a release form. I said, this is what's on like 18, 19. I said, no. I think now these days, a lot of TV stars like that and younger children, adults, they have to have parents around. Before in the early season, Disney. A lot of us watch Disney. Until we had the horror story, until some of the people had their experiences in the Disney network. In the shows. Yes, the viewership was up there. But let's take away the fact that some of the problematic stuff we were seeing. And some of a lot of these kids was young. So after a while, they had to start changing and make it seem like if you have a teenage or whatever young child has star, you had to have parent representation in set or nearby. Back then, earlier stages, they didn't have that. They was making changes. So yes, we give props to open the doors and trying to change the realm of things, but you had to take responsibility of what happened, the negative side of things, and not just only appreciate the positive things. So after all that, Danielle speak of her experiences, how because she won that season. She won season 6. I was so proud of Danielle being a Southern girl, had that country accent. The gap they closed it a little bit, but she did that, and the fact that she went to New York, stayed in the model house with some other people. I think she was in the house with Chanel Aman, and Chanel Aman became really big and whatnot. And she was not getting gigs. She was not doing that for a couple years. She was not getting stuff, and she wanted to know why she wasn't getting booked for modeling shows or this or that and whatnot. She couldn't use a lot of the photos that was used in the freaking seasons, or she was filmed during the season top model. So Chanel Aman came in one day. She told him she asked a person in the industry, so why Danielle's not getting booked? They said, "Oh, we had to treat Danielle differently because she was from the show." So imagine Danielle, who went through all this, went to the season, thought she was going to get a prominent career, and realized that she was finding a system, knowing that the doors was closed on her because she was deemed a reality TV star and not a model. And you had someone, Tyra, who knew that doors would be closed for some of these models because they was on the show and they was not considered as models. And you didn't do nothing. And you gonna come and call her years later, apologize. I knew you were struggling. I knew doors would be closed on you, and I do nothing about it. And that's the problem. So she had a responsibility. So people say, "Oh, Tyra," I said, "Yes, she did," because it would only follow call her if she didn't feel the way she needed to call. No, it was no reason for her to call her if she did not feel that way. She knew her conscience was eating on her. She knew that she doing Danielle in the Wolf, and she knew that people. That's the whole point of preparing them. You could have gave them reality check and say, "You know what, y'all? I know y'all on the show and whatnot, but I'm gonna let you know that the model industry not gonna treat y'all as models. They're gonna treat you as reality TV stars. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna move this way. We're gonna do this. Let me make some calls. Let me do this." She could have did a lot of things to make a lot of these ladies win and do successful in the model industry, and therefore whatever they want to venture off later on in acting or whatnot, that would be something. But at least their focus was on model industry, what she wanted to push. And maybe yes, model industry start accepting more people in different backgrounds because top model trying to push it open. But the people you have had on the show or win and not, who was a winners or not winners, couldn't make it successfully because you knew the doors were closed because they was reality TV stars. Now these days, maybe they would be more open. Now I know she's doing this Second 25. I won't be watching it, so don't ask me. I'm not watching Second 25. I will stop watching Top Model for a reason. I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm not gonna watch it. Maybe it might be more successful now. Whatnot, but when we have this documentary and know how the things going, and we know how reality TV is, we go see the same thing happening. Maybe she would be different, her approach. Maybe not. But I won't be watching it. Because that was, of course, the point. What we need a Psycho 75 for? What we need it for? Because we're not going to sit here and say, oh, this model industry is so messed up. And I said, it's changing now. I mean, maybe you will hire influencers on social media. I think they're so easy to be a model. Maybe you should hire them. Influencer season or something. I don't know. Do that. But if y'all will watch season 5, 25 when it comes out, y'all let me know. Y'all will. It's okay. Y'all will watch it. There's nothing wrong with that. I said, what's the point? And a few success stories does not outweigh the other people's stories. Because it's very few. It's not much success stories. So you can't really say Top Model was successful in the aspect of producing stars or modeling or superstars. Very few got it, but not much didn't benefit from it. So the fact that Tyler had to apologize years later and tell her that she knew the doors would be closed and she couldn't do anything about that, she knew she was struggling. I said, that's effed up. That's why I would say you lost the source of your vision. And you had a responsibility even after they won because you know firsthand that they was not going to treat it differently. So what you should have done, or production, whatever, stop doing these outrageous photo shoots, open the doors, make some calls, get that. Like when Whitney won, she had elite management. Now I think Whitney did make successful a little bit in the industry, a little bit, and then she had to own her ice cream shop. They had a plus size division, and I said if she won that season, and you knew they had a plus size season, why you set her up? You almost set her up for failure. To me, if they had a plus size division, so what they was gonna do for her? I know Whitney's on Instagram a lot right now. Talk about some of this thing. We're Cycle 5. Anybody got anything to say? Yeah, let me know. Dion, Cycle 8. Dion talk about how she had a mother who's a victim of gun violence, and her mother is paralyzed. And they use a photo shoot and have her do a shot of her, because it was a violence photo shoot of being dead. In different ways, people died. And they had to model that. And her shoot was she got shot in the head with something that her mother was. And so they wanted to break her down, and she glad she didn't give them what they wanted. And I said, yeah, that's messed up. Like you knew this, and you chose to shoot for me to do, knowing the my trauma of this. F you. Now she did a good job, but at the same time, it's like that was messed up. Now Kid Mock was and all the stuff he said that was messed up. He should have they was messed up for doing that. That's the only thing he took accountability for of that messed up photo shoot, that we took too far with that photo shoot idea. That's the only thing he admit. He said it was a mistake of celebrating violence. It was a mistake. The race shot photo on the waist swap. Even I would say, how so problematic that is of swapping people races and making them photograph of someone different race. I said that was a problematic then, it's problematic now. And the fact that they only did it once, they did it twice. Not once or twice. They did once, not once or twice. I would say, wow. That was messed up. Kia Cycle 4, beautiful woman. They kept talking about her weight. They kept pushing the narrative that she was getting fat. She getting fat. I said, girl, she had a nice, beautiful body. I said, don't have her and then criticize her weight. Don't do that. That's why I was getting annoyed about Tyler's vision. I said, you lose your plot and your vision. You wanted different girls with different background sizes. So once you get them, you build them up. And weight should not be a factor, because you should not factor in weight because you're trying to change the industry standards. So they kept pushing the narrative that she's getting fat, she's getting big. She said she ate that one bagel, but they kept making it seem like she was eating different bagels. And everybody said, "Oh, she kept eating it." And then the girls started saying, "Well, they keep telling me." I said, "Shut the f up, mind your business." Because they ain't get me on the show because of my weight. And everybody said, "Okay, everybody should be thin. Everybody should have been thin." So they did that. So then, they started being funny. They did 7 deadly sins. They gave her gluttony. And then they had to have model animals. They gave her elephant. I said, y'all trying to be funny now. You know what y'all doing. And nobody thought that was a good idea. Nobody stepped in and realized that was stupid. Right? So they was honing on her weight narrative. That's the freaking downside of reality TV. When they want to push a narrative, they're gonna use that. Even though this girl was not eating like that, they claim that she was. They would do a lot of body shaming, which it shouldn't be no body shaming when you're supposed to push the envelope of different models of different beauty and standards. So all that should not come into play on this freaking reality TV show. It should not come to play, Tyra. It should not come to play production. It should not come to play. It should not have. Well, you should be criticizing, and people do not have confidence for themselves. And say, you know what? Stand on it. Have confidence. Stand on you. Brace who you are. We love you because we got you, because we love everything about you. So I want you to continue to have that confidence. That's that. Build them up. That's how you do that. Because we're going to change this narrative, and you going to make it. So Whitney, the plus size, she was a plus size winner of Cycle 10. And she said she dreamed of that. She was demeaning because they didn't have no outfits of her size, in that time, which I understand that they didn't have plus size clothes. If you can't fit the clothes, you can't model. But I would say, but you probably push the envelope. So at the end of the day, and whatever she was gonna win it, you were trying to push it. Like that's what I say. Tyler could have easily had her own model industry and use her connections. I don't know when she didn't do that. So she was saying that, and she would vocalize, and sometimes the ladies get punished. Like Takara from last season, Takara from remember Takara, and Takara doing real well right now. Takara was a plus size model, plus size girl, and when she vocalized her contempt about not having clothes for her and whatnot, she got eliminated. And she was cut. So Whitney had to say like, damn, Takara got cut. So if I say too much, I would get let go too. So I just had to deal with it. So Kia went back to Kia. Kia was saying that how she remember that death shoot they had in Africa and whatnot, and then Kia was flirting about this freaking dusty, ugly guy. Brittany, whatever his name, not Brittany. Bertini. Dusty name. Bertini. And I think one of the things Ty would say that you need to stand up for yourself and stick up for yourself. So what she did, she got shut down. She was saying that guys kept touching her. I remember that scene. She touching her, being very freaking weird around her, moaning her ear, doing all that stuff. And she stopped. She said, "Listen, y'all, this guy is fucking moaning my ear, telling me that he want to F me and all that stuff. I'm not comfortable and everything." And he said, "No, well, you shouldn't stop this." And Nigel was there. J-Man was there. So I'm gonna get on them too. Cause they don't escape responsibility either. I don't get on them too. So they were saying, no, you just gotta keep going. I said, so she did speak up for herself, and they shut her down. They said she gotta keep going and suck it up, basically. Basically, suck it up. That's messed up. And then the pictures they chose, they pick a picture when she had an issue of them touching her. They pick a picture of her touching her, him touching her. I said, and that's what they started doing because they will pick pictures that was not the best photos and use that as a critique. And I said, your whole purpose of picking the best photo. So if that's not the best photo, why you pick this kind of photo to push a narrative and say this is what? I said a lot of these feel that way. I was saying, see, that's the problem. They started going away from that and try to beat them down and try to have a agenda. Oh, I want to keep this girl. So it started becoming way more. It started lifting. They started losing the plot. They really just losing the plot, and they were doing way too much for entertainment purposes, and not so much of building the girls, the breaking them down, and it was all about the ratings. So they said time a tougher moment. She said, yeah, the Tiffany thing. And then she said, oh, it was years of, yeah, that's because it was years of things and years of stuff that happening to me. I see myself in her and a lot of stuff happened with her. So it was everything that it me flooding on her. I said, that's not her issue. That's not her problem. Yeah, you went off of her because you were trying to make a stance, a statement. No, we don't need no stance, a statement. You went off of her because she did not react how you wanted her to react. Point blank, period. So I said that she said too much that they had to have the lawyers on the set. So girl, you calm down because this is like they were so shocked that Tyler went off like that. So Jay Manuel saying that's the artistic director. He was the creative director of the seasons. He said he was starting to lose himself. He wanted to have other opportunities and everything, and he said it was moments that was too much for him, but he had to hold his tongue because to keep his job. So I said, that's the problem. I understand that y'all in this realm, but y'all can't. Sometimes you cannot do wrong by being right. Even though even though it may cause you, but you can't do by being right or take a stance. So you could have went to Tyra and talked to her. You could have went to I could have band together and talked to him. I said this was too much, and whether they want to retaliate or not, I understand. I understand it completely. But sometimes the greatest change is the person who go against the grain of salt, going against the machine, goes against the cycle. So y'all was complicit in a lot of things that was happening. Jay, Manuel, Jane Alexander, Nigel. Y'all was very complicit of a lot of things that's happening with the girls. Even though you may feel type of way, but y'all was complicit. Y'all didn't say shit. So you were just as much at fault as Tyra, as production in handling these girls because y'all didn't say much. Y'all kept your tongue. So when he wanted to leave to do other projects, he sent an email to Tyra. Tyra didn't say nothing to him for like 3 days. This was good friends. 3 days. And then she responded back, I am disappointed. And then I guess he felt like he wanted to do more. And I guess she told him production, I guess he felt he was going to get blackballed. And sometimes it may happen. And I just understand. So I understand his lock in a hard place. Because if I say something, I would probably get blackballed by them, and I could probably get them more jobs and whatnot. But I would say, but then your dignity is back on us. So you just kind of basically being sticking in there, knowing that you're not here for it, and just sticking it for a job, for a paycheck. So basically, sold your soul, like Tyra did. Tyra just started just like, you know what, it is what it is. So this boy. So after that, he stayed on for a couple more seasons because I think he had a fear if he ever went against them, he would not be working again. That's what that's his experience. So we got to talk to him more. That's how he felt. And from there, on set, she wasn't even talking to him. So how we go the best friends, talking to each other, being on a couch, doing this, and then you not talk to me. So the only time they would talk when they film. Outside of filming, she wouldn't even talk to her. So you just go turn your back on her. And I said, girl, you had some pulls. So I asked Tyree, if we want to talk about Jay. She said, no, I don't want to talk to him. I'll give him a call. And to this day, she still will call him. I said, girl, stop it. So Jay Manuel, his thing was to pick the best photos for the girl. But then after a while, years go by, the season gone by, he started losing more control of that creative direction. Then he started coming in and just saying, this was going to happen, this is that. And then he was lost control, even picking the photos. So they was picking the photos now. So he just was there. He's just there to keep his job. It lost his dignity in the process. So we're going to find out that when we start seeing, when people get eliminated, they pack their bags and they close the door behind them. They asses weren't even going home. They was taking them, or that dramatic scene exit, they took them and said, okay, go in the hotel room. That's it. And they couldn't call no one because they couldn't break confidentiality. It wasn't not. I know now these days, if people get eliminated, they was able to go home, but they still had to sign a confidentiality contract, so they can't say much until the season ends. Or if they did interviews, it's certain things they could talk about and something they can't talk about. But no, they had to hold them hostage there until season end, to the season production films, finish filming, and then go home when they let the ladies to go home, everybody together. I said, so you mean to tell me I gotta stay in this hotel room, funky hotel room, can't communicate, can't say nothing, can't tell them why I got eliminated, and to stay here until y'all finish filming? How long that will be? And what I'm gonna be doing? So they could use the photos. Like I said, they could use the photos that they did the season. So I would say all that stuff y'all was having those girls doing, they can't even use that in the real model industry. I said, what the hell was going on? And you knew this, Tyler. Like, that's the problem I had. You knew this. In production, whatever. But Ty was part of the model industry, so she know a lot of stuff was happening. So the stigmatization of being on a reality TV show. And that's probably still today. Sometimes when you on a reality TV show, people especially you may be successful like that, people go on deem you as a reality TV star and only see you as that. But now it's not so much of stigmatization because sometimes influencers and being on social media and being at reality TV shows open realms of doors for people now than it was before. But at that time, you reality TV star, and since reality TV show was starting, it was getting big. We don't know that. And these ladies didn't know that. They had to wide awakening when people outside said, no, you just a reality TV star. You're not a model. You're not this. You're not that. So that's what they said. She got to treat her differently because she came from the top model world. And others who was not on the show became very successful. So if Daya was never on top model, maybe she would have been successful right now. I think she do other things, but she probably be in the model industry successful if she was not on the show. So because the people seen them on the show and they know they was on the show, they treated them differently. And that's messed up. And she had a responsibility to make sure that was not happening. And I said majority of the girls is not doing any modeling after the show ended. Even the ones who's successful right now, like Eva and Yaya, a lot of them still not doing modeling. They may have their projects right after the show finished in modeling, but most of their success is from other avenues. which is fine. But who was the next supermodel that came from Top Model show? I could say William Harlow, but William Harlow didn't win, but she became big because at the time she was on it, things shifted. A lot of things shifted. So I guess her exposure from that make her help propel the to the industry. But still, this day, a lot of ladies did not reap the benefit. It did not get benefit from the show. So once, so this was the time Tyra was doing her talk show and everything, and this was she had the reunion of the girls, and Shannon was that day. And she told Tyra that she didn't want to see that, and then there was no protection, and they still showed it and whatnot. I said, "Girl, so when everybody was, and when she tried to act like she don't remember the Shandy thing, like, girls, get the out of here. I don't want to hear that. You remember exactly what was going on. You did not protect them." So Donna left the UPN network. She was the head, so they had Mark Penowitz, and they said they wanted the mature phase of Top Model. They were shifted now. They were shifted. So they say that they feel like the ratings was dropping because of the Jays and Nigel. So Ken Mark and Tyra had to lay the news to them that they was gonna get fired. My thing is, if first of all, I feel like the ratings was not dropping because of them. The ratings was dropping because the show was getting stupid. That's called it what it is. And people started to see that as years go by. And now y'all starting to get way too outrageous with the freaking entertainment factor and not so much of the modeling thing. So that's what that. So they thought that. So they feel like they was gonna get the they was gonna have a press conference. They talk about they was gonna have a press conference. They're gonna have them announce them themselves that they're gonna be leaving the show and whatnot. Give them the dignity. However, Jay Alexander, Miss J, got a birthday flowers for Tyra, and then 5 days later he was fired. And he felt like she knew that, like they knew that you knew they was gonna let me go or they were firing me, and you didn't at least give me a heads up or something like that. I said, especially when these people have been your friends and your family for so long. First of all, I think you should kind of fight for them a little bit more because y'all was all together. But she said it's no sacred cows, meaning that she could like, oh yes, I understand. It's their show. Even though you're the face and you're executive producer, it's their show, but you still had a hand in it. So you could at least fight for them a little bit more. Or at least give them the dignity to let them go. So a page leaked in page 6 of they getting fired, and people know before they even freaking announced it. So kind of was blindsided. Nigel was upset. He was pissed off. They all was upset a little bit. They got fired. And so she said she had to deliver the news to them. And there's no sacred cows. And I took that means I'm also. And it come to find out, yes, she was no sacred cow because she, at one time, they said they had to let go Tyra as hosting the show. I said, how long are you going to let go Tyra as host of the show? And she's the face of the show. Like, come on, they had Rita Ora. I said, I don't know. I remember that she was the host. I said, who? That's why I stopped watching it a long time ago. Like I said, I started watching way before they let Tyra go as a host. So they was thinking that the ratings went down because I said, no, the ratings, they thought the ratings would go back up because they will let them go and have other people coming in. Nope, the ratings kept going down. They kept going down to the point that the show had to end soon. So it was like, it was one of this course. Because I say, so, you know, that it was enough that I got let go. That the ratings were going to go back up. They think they were going to let them go and the ratings go back. I said, no, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. The ratings was going down because of the show, how your show was running it. And now y'all realize, even when y'all letting them go, y'all thing was still plummeting down. And y'all was doing the most to stay on top. That time was starting doing it. Do all this extra stuff, the commercials and all that stuff, and then they had to produce it, and that's what they started doing. Man and Girl season, the British invasion, the college edition, and all that stuff. I said, now y'all doing way too much. What is going on? That's all theatrics. It's all theatrics. So after cycle 22, they let Tyra go as a host. Like I said, no sacred cows. So they have Vita over. And after 24 cycles, the show ended. They ended. And now she's going a possible reboot for cycle 625. So we can see that Nigel, he was starting to do more elaborate shoots and starting to get more jobs. Mr. J, he working on E and he wrote a book. Miss J kept doing like he was doing top model tours, so he was doing other countries and they being coaches for over there. And it was messed up that it was let go. And I said, I'm upset that Tyra just doing the wheels like that. It just ain't getting care. It's like, and it was all one point that Miss J mentioned that how they was walking down the street and somebody said, "Oh, that looks like Beyonce." And they said, "No, that's not Beyonce. That's Tyra." And they said, "Oh, look at the J's. Hey, J's." And I think Miss J said that Tyra didn't like that. They was getting props too. And I said, "Oh, so it seems to me that she was the only one to be liked. They're doing well, and they should not be liked as well." That's what it took to me. That's what it is. I said, "Oh, I don't know. It's starting to seem like if it doesn't benefit her, you'll be kicked to the curb." Like I said, she ain't the only one, but at the same time, this was your show, your vision, and you had these people who did from the beginning. I feel like you shouldn't have treated them like that. But at the same time, y'all on this campaign now, bashing her, not knowing y'all would start part of the problem too. Y'all didn't do anything to stop it. Y'all ain't doing anything to stop it. You were just as much problem of criticizing these girls, critiquing the girls, saying all that stuff about them. So y'all not off the hook. I don't care what your campaign y'all doing right now. At the end of the day, y'all need to take responsibility of what y'all did and how y'all handling these girls. It's not on Tyler. It's not on her. So you get it too. So Miss J, because when Kia came out and spoke to y'all could have took a stance there. So Miss J said it was touching at this point because he was saying that I was teaching girls how to walk and everything. And I think around December 27, 2022, he had a stroke. He was in the hospital for like 5 weeks in a coma, and he couldn't walk. He couldn't talk, and that was like heartache because I say he was like this breath of fresh air. He was there for the long time. He was there for the vision, even though he had a hand in how to handle the girls too. He didn't escape that. But at the same time, it is what it is. So he taught everybody to walk, and then he couldn't walk anymore. That was crazy. And then Tyra texted him and say, "I will come visit you," and till this day, still hasn't visited him. And I remember Jay was like, they asked him, "Did she visit you?" He's like, "Ask me that stupid question again. Ask me that question again. You asked the stupid question. Did she visit you?" I was like, he been in your life for so long, and you can't even give him a visit. That's what I can tell. The friendship, baby, was not real or authentic to the point. It maybe was at one point, but when it came to the point of the taking a stance for your friends when it needs to be, throw them in the wolves. You just threw them in the side. And now they ended the campaign. I don't think she gonna visit you now. But still, especially if y'all trying to separate yourself from Tyra and make it seem like she was all the fault and y'all were just the sacrificial limbs. I said, no, y'all was part of the problem too. So now they should go visit you now. But at the same time, at that point, I think they should, if y'all had gone, I think she shouldn't have handled y'all like that way. So I will stand on y'all about that. But under that, y'all not escaping y'all responsibility. So she now cycle 25. Let me know if y'all watching or not. And then it was mostly no accountability because every time she was saying that, oh yeah, it was messed up. I'm now 2020 hindsight, and then she would say, oh no, crazy and like think about it now. When people calling on my shit, I wanna hope that y'all know y'all people calling y'all shit, y'all stay on the shit that we get caught out on. Like so I had to stay on my shit when I get caught out. I said, first of all, hold up. Where we getting it? Why are we getting it? How are you watching us and telling us well we need to stand on our shit when we get caught out? And it's all about you. Where us coming in from? I was like, hold up. I was looking in my thinking room. I said, why are you coming at us when it's supposed to be you hold accountability? Because every time it was need to hold accountable, she kept putting the blame on someone else. Yes, it was messed up and I did messed up things, but it was production. Yes, it was this, but I didn't have no idea. But yes, it was that, but they did that. Yes, it is, but it was my show. It's like it was a yes, but this happened. Yes, but this person was responsible. Yes, but that person was responsible. And I said, "Good, just take time to like you choose the face of the show." And I said, "Yes, I and my team failed the girls." That people want to hear. But pretend you didn't remember the Shandy story, and this is that, about Kia, about Danielle, about Tiffany, about all that. You said, oh, yes, I went too hard for Tiffany, but I was doing that because I was taking a stand for the African American females and how I went through the industry and how everybody came at me. And I was like, girl, what was all that? Like, we don't need to explain things away. Just say that I went too far, I messed up, and I should not have said the things I said about her. But don't explain, oh, you said those things because of the hardship you went through. So I would say all that to say, Top Model was a big part of our culture. Top Model was a bigger part of growing up, watching it, enjoying it. Yes, the viewership was prominent. It was good at that time, but it started dwindling down because people started realizing it started getting older. It started realizing the show was doing way too much. And we can't take away of her building this platform and trying to fight to make it better. And yes, at that time, it wasn't great. It was struggles. It was power to play to be to please them and also give what it is. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you stick true to your vision and stick with that, then a lot of the stuff that we were seeing now and a lot of the stuff that ladies will not have to say much to say about. They would not have much to say if you kept true to your vision and you kept what it was and pushed the envelope and pushed the boundaries into things. And yes, maybe Top Model probably did open some doors and maybe change the model industry to some extent. However, a lot of these ladies was chopped down to make that happen. And it should not have to happen that way. So yes, Tyra could get her receive her props for having a show. She could receive her props for opening the doors. She could receive her props for pushing the boundaries or at least opening doors for other people to be successful in the modern industry to change to what beauty standards are. However, she also need to take responsibility, and her and production need to take responsibility of the effed up shit they did to these ladies for sake of entertainment. And because you lost the plot, you failed to help a lot of these ladies. And yes, it is her responsibility and now that to prepare these ladies for the industry, but also knowing that because they're reality TV shows, you should have did more into making sure they're successful. Thank you so much. This is such a great review. Thank you for sharing. popcorn yellow smell. Oh, appreciate that. Thank you, Jay to Couture. So hopefully I was being fair because I don't want to be like everybody else and say, oh, it's only Tyra. No, I do understand that everybody comes to play. But at the same time, she was the face, she needs to face it. And I want to see the one with Janet Dickinson too. Because I say I hope y'all will nail her ass too. Because she was nasty. Her school fate ass. And even though she was a successful model herself, but I don't want to hear about the harsh reality dismodel. I said, no, Tyra was trying to change that. So let's I have some things. I know Sherry said something. I have Eva to say what she had to say. Let's listen to some things. Something ago and we get off of it. I know I've been here like 2 hours, but hey, let's share some things and talk about it. She was, and I can't wait to see that documentary in March and see what they're gonna say about her. She was just as much a problem to these ladies as Tyra was. In production was. So somebody wrote onto Instagram, and I read this, and I agree with that. Many of us watched American Top Models when we was teens and very young adults. Yes, that's correct. A lot of us was young and adults. Yes, we watch it for entertainment. Yes, we was tuned in. Yes, we made it a bigger show. And we older now, and we allowed to be outraged that we had no idea that these women were going through. Exactly. For blaming us. Yes, I do agree that accountability should have been shared with the judges, but it's also interesting how Tyra was the only one to apologize in the doc, even if it wasn't authentic. Yes. I didn't see Jay and Nigel say they said they felt bad, they appreciate it, but this was the industry at the time. I said I want to explain what the fuck it was at the time. Say what is wrong and call it as it is. But they wanted to push the blame on Tyra. It felt like this what it was, and we was going with the grain of the show, and we was doing our jobs. No, stay on that stance. If you feel like this was wrong, you should stand on it and take accountability and say, you know what, I was messed up for that saying that. So I agree. Now Tyler tried to apologize, but she always explained the apology away. So it, like you say, it wasn't authentic. But the judges, she shared responsibility, and the other ones was trying to say, "Oh, we was a product of our job, so we did what we was told." I said, "Nah, you still had a conscience." We are older now, and we are allowed to be outraged, and we had no idea. Yeah, we didn't have no idea what the ladies was going through. So we older now, then we understand. You know what? That was problematic, and maybe some of us probably felt that at the time, but couldn't put into words because it wasn't big on social media. So we only had to watch the show, and maybe our stance of not taking a stance anymore on the show is not watching it. And that's what happened to me. I stopped watching it at I think the All Star Sushi was the last season I stopped watching it. Everything after that past that. I don't even know if I'm happy. I don't even know what happened after that. I stopped watching it. And I think I stopped watching a little bit before All Stars, but I think All Stars was the last season I remember seeing it. Yeah, I didn't like how Jay Manuel is acting like he didn't agree with anything, but he didn't speak up. And Tyler was his friend. Yes, he didn't even speak up. He kept to himself because he feared for his job. But I said sometimes taking a stance, it what makes people understand you and understand because it's like at the end of the day, you probably still can make it. Now maybe it would be possible. Maybe it would have been possible to get blackballed. We don't know that. The problem is, if you didn't agree with all this stuff, you could still say something or talk to Tyra and everything, and that was your friend, and let them know what's going on. But everybody else was complicit for the sake of your job. So no, I don't think you should. I don't like how they try to make it seem like they didn't have they had no hand in these ladies when y'all were just as much as gullible, responsible for them. No, so you can't escape that. And yes, you and Tyler was friends, and I feel like you shouldn't have went to her and talked to her, and y'all probably could have stand band together as a group. Instead of that, when I realized, no, we're not doing this. Very much like we didn't know that our favorite male artists and actors was ours and predators back in the day when we made them stars. Exactly. And I don't understand everybody don't understand that. Just because we had joyed them, just because we had liked them and we probably made them successful, doesn't take away people experiences about them, like the Diddy or the R. Kelly. About a lot of people's like, yes, we have to understand that they may gave us the best music, they may gave us the best thing. I understand being nervous, but to your point, he was complicit. Yes, he definitely was. He definitely were. He definitely were. Yes, I wish they would say, you know what? I understand. I apologize because we was very complicit and we could have did more to help the states and we didn't. Not saying, oh, it was our job. It was this time. And we, nah. You explain away just like Ty was trying to explain away. So it's like, yes, we have to understand. Just now we're getting older and then we realize these people are who we look up to become these predators or essayers or whatnot. We have to call them out. That's why I tell people we should not idolize these celebrities so damn much that they could not do anything wrong. They're just as individuals who just have power. When it comes with power, comes with a lot of stuff that's happening, and a lot of people have negative experience about them. It doesn't take away the artistry. It doesn't take away a lot of things they done for the culture. Just like it doesn't take away from them top model had done for us and watching something like that. It still could shine a light of the negativity and we could still talk about that. It felt like everybody felt like, oh, because Tyra did with that, we cannot criticize her. I said, no, we could criticize her just as much as we could criticize everybody else. She's not escaping this. So please stop acting Tyra is not subject to the same scrutiny and outrage. Exactly. And okay, so what if you say she was young too? Okay, granted, and she became older and never did anything about the barriers she knew her show created for. Exactly. She knew the barriers and didn't do anything. That's the problem I have because your vision was to push the envelope and change the boundary. You know the closed doors were closing. You should have did something and use your pulls to help these ladies. And that's the issue I have. It's just like you starting a job and this company, you always wanted to get in this company. And they say you're gonna be a manager. And then you come a manager and then you get in the thing and it just push you out and say, you know what, we ain't gonna it's all right, you just gotta learn it, and that's that. So you ain't gonna get no proper training, you're not gonna set me up for to do well your job. You just gonna just put me in there, and that's that. And we have seen people who go on jobs like these companies don't really do it. They talk a good game, and when I'm in here, they don't care about your development. So it's kind of like that. Let them suffer in an industry she knew very well, blamed it on the people behind the scenes. She readily takes responsibility for the idea, creation, and success for the show, but also absolutely hands-off accountability of the harm to everyone but herself. Please be for real. And I felt that way. I felt that way. When you create something, you have to accept the positive and the negative that came out of it. Stand in it. And yes, you're not the only blame of it. But don't pass the blame and act like you had nothing to do with that. Exactly. Yes. She abused the power. Exactly. It got to her head. That's that. So let me read something else. So this type of documentary, no one ever flatly said Shandy was assaulted, and it bothers me. It did bother me too, because that's what it was. She was assaulted. If she was blacked out drunk, she could not consent. She could not have. And it was killing me that people, and I just know I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked because everybody, people love to do that to females who get assaulted. Blame them and call them all kinds of names instead of going at the person who did it. And production had a lot of hand because they should not have let boys over there. Then she was assaulted or full stop. I wanted someone to name that now, even if it wasn't named back then, and for everyone to still downplay it and pass accountability or pretend it was a documentary. So it really unconscionable to keep denying and gaslighting and blaming this lady for all these years, because it was nasty work, and you can tell she still feel broken about it. She said, "Oh, I can live in the farm and animals, just like that." I said, "Damn, she was assaulted on camera. Then they taped her calling her boyfriend, and it just passed off as cheating. She gets assaulted. The assault is in on TV, and folks call her a whore and slut in public. And that's the messed up thing about that, because nobody could see that she was the victim in this. And until this day, people still do that. Oh, it's much about the money. It's a cash grab. You know it is. It's I was like, F out of here. Y'all have almost hangups and freaking rule books and freaking metrics of how a person's supposed to be when they're assaulted, and not knowing that no one person acts the same way when they're assaulted. No professional counseling is ever mentioned. Because back then it had no counseling. I think now it should be counseling and therapists on the section or psychologists on site and everything and reality TV show. It should be down. That she goes on Tyra Talk Show and not only does do the replay the clips of the night she was assaulted, she also asked them not to. My God, that girl was done wrong. And for what? Good TV? Shandy girl, you deserve way better. I agree. This show could have really shifted the narrative in the model industry. Instead, the woman was taken advantage of like models industry. Exactly. Exactly. Your vision was to change the narrative, not go along with the narrative. So don't fight me and then criticize me when you trying to change that. And that's the case. Hire all thin girls and leave me the F alone. All right, let's get that. Let's do one more. I got other stuff to read. And I also will play a clip of Eva, and I also will play the clip what Sherry said, and then we can end it here. Ferranda, you remember Ferranda? I forgot what season she was in, but I think she's a lawyer. She does something else right now. She did great, but she talked about things that happened. Ferranda, my experience was better than most because I tried my best not to give them anything they could use in a negative light. I was still ridiculed, called me names, emotionally manipulated. However, what I experienced doesn't compare to what so many other girls had to endure. So many girls have never been able to recover from the trauma and negative or forced betrayals on national television. It made me sad that no one was even slightly apologetic. To be clear, nobody took accountability. Miss J, Mr. J, and Nigel all had a heavy hand in abuse and manipulation. Say it was my job. Exactly. It's not an excuse. Exactly. The only problem with the terror is that the system turned on them too. Exactly. They got turned on by the same system they was trying to protect. It says it's my job. So many girls throughout the American Next Top Model franchise have expressed that that's not my best picture. The mere mention that there was a better shot instantly brought wrath, ridicule, or to storylines and targeted from the judges and production. The whole time they knew they were lying, manipulating, and gaslighting us. It wasn't a competition, it was abuse. Period. and that was a contestant from the show. And exactly, because I remember some ladies did say that's not my best picture, and they was ridiculed and got eliminated for that. They were ridiculed for that. Because y'all knew y'all was pushing an agenda and picking worst photos to have conversation and judging on. And that's not their best. So who knows? Y'all was doing the right way. Maybe some women who had won will not won. And some other ladies probably would have made it further than they got eliminated for. So. All right, almost done. So let's listen to what Eva had to say. Hold up, y'all. I come in.
Stories. I've lived my experience. I've walked in my shoes. And though there is a level of relatability, one would assume someone having walked in the same shoes. I had no idea. Like, absolutely no idea. Amazingly horrifying for the stories. I've lived my experience. I've walked in my shoes. And though there is a level of relatability, one would assume someone having walked in the same shoes. I had no idea. Like, absolutely no idea. Amazingly
the docuseries, you say you were in awe when you watched it because you didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it details many controversial moments, from the alleged sexual assault that happened to eating disorders to models being put in blackface, or one model who was people who were bullied. The docuseries, you say you were in awe when you watched it because you didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it details many controversial moments, from the alleged sexual assault that happened to eating disorders to models being put in blackface, or one model who was people who were bullied. The docuseries, you say you were in awe when you watched it because you didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it details many controversial moments, from the alleged sexual assault that happened to eating disorders to models being. Do you think that the judges and the producers had a role in creating this type of environment, even if you never saw it?
Absolutely. That environment could not exist without producers aiding and abetting what was going on. Do
you think that the judges and the producers had a role in creating
reality now on every level?
Yeah.
Housewives. I mean, I don't know what's going on in someone's life unless the producers tell me. It's a part of how this thing works. At the time, we were kids trying to find our dreams realized and act in reality now on every level.
Yeah.
Housewife, actualized by a woman that we believed could do that for us. And if she could see it in us, then the world would see it in us, because the world sees it in her.
Yeah.
So it was just a TV show to win a competition.
Yeah, and we appreciate you coming in and adding a little bit more texture to this very...
Actualized by a woman that we will never fail to thank Tyra.
Yeah.
What Tyra set out to do in this business, I will always say, and especially for Top Model, initially, she set out to change the world, to change what the modeling industry looked like, sound like, felt like, and expected.
Yeah.
I will never, she apologized a million times, but an apology to the person that you wronged is only as good as they could appreciate it. And so for the young girls that were sexually assaulted, she apologized a million times. The young girls that now have eating disorders or look at themselves and never feel beautiful, that little girl in them that will always live in the woman that is them. There is no sorry, I think, that's big enough to truly feel and heal that kind of hurt.
Yeah, well said.
The young girls that now have...
Okay, so let me see what you said. I always thought model J was giving them a hard time. Yeah, she saw. I think some models start realizing, just like Tiffany or some other models, they start realizing the bullcrap, and they was like, "I'm not here for this." So yes, I think they was giving them a hard time, and they started realizing, and then they got ridiculed because they started calling out. the bull crap, what they seeing. This is not what they're supposed to be doing. This is not uplifting us. This is not helping us. You're turning us down. So Eva explained her experience that she said she had no idea this was happening. Now, like I said, maybe Eva didn't know, because I do remember Eva's storyline. I do remember that she was Eva the Diva and everything. So maybe she didn't see a lot of things happening because she probably part of the power. But I'm not gonna say, not take that put on Eva. Maybe she didn't know a lot of this happening, and maybe she was not privy to some things happening. Y'all never know what y'all feel like Eva, but I do feel like she praised Tyra, but also hold accountability and say that she apologized a million times, but it's not going to apology to ladies that they got wrong. And people's all responsible, production all held responsible and everything and whatnot. And yes, like I said, Eva was just one of the success stories, but it's very few compared to the large numbers of ladies that was on the show who did not get the access or the success that's Eva, or Winnie, or Yaya, or Takara, or from whatever the people that y'all can name now, because it's not much people I can name from this show for 24 seasons that we could say that is killing it in the industry right now. So it's just a show. Just like American Idol or Voice. Those shows is still going on right now. Besides the obvious idol like Fantasia or Jennifer Hudson or Kelly Clarkson, who else did I know from that? I started watching American Idol a long time ago because I realized a lot of people was not getting no contracts and then not becoming successful after the show. So I said, ain't no wasting my time watching it if these people is not going to get no contracts. Or at least didn't make it big. There's only very few success stories from American Idol. Just like it's not much successful that I could tell from The Voice. So I was saying, so why am I wasting my time watching the shows anymore? That's why I stopped watching a lot of these shows. And now people say, oh, well, y'all criticize the top model, but y'all watch baddies. I said, I don't even watch baddies, but understand what people are saying. Baddies horrible. I don't see what people see in that story. I didn't see what people see. Like when Joshua Cabaret first came out, I started watching it. I was watching the first time, but now when I started seeing how Jocelyn was treating these girls and everything, I stopped watching that. And what the last straw was how they treated Amber. And I wish she stuck with that lawsuit, but she dropped it. I wish she stuck on it because she had a case. Husband coming involved and fighting a girl. Like, what the fuck? Y'all, I don't care who they are. Who you are ballistic. You don't fight no female. I stopped watching it. I said, I can't do with the outrageous exploitations of the females. So, like I said, I don't watch Baddies. The only time I watch it, my friend comes to my house and he loves it. He loves it. And I'll say, okay, if you go bond, I'll watch it with you, but I don't watch it outside of that. I'm not watching no upcoming season of Bad Boys Club. I'm not watching none of that because I say, what's the point? It's stupid. All y'all do is fight for no very reason. That's not make you a bad. I say I want you to see boss. I want to see boss moves. I want to see all that fight, and not make you a boss. Don't make you a bad girl. Don't make you a baddie. And make you a freaking machine ready to fight. And I don't care for Zeus. So yes, and like with Bad Girls, remember Bad Girls Club was there at the time. Bad Girls Club was successful at the time, and this was around the time I was coming out. Bad Girls Club was out, and it was successful. Yes, fight happened, but it was for a reason, and it wasn't too much. When it started getting crazy, when they started way too much of jumping people, touching people with property, throwing people property outside the windows. And I said, what we doing all this for? Now y'all doing way too much. It don't make you a bad girl. F out of here. Production will let these girls do way too much now. To the point they got sued. And when they got sued, they won. That changed the network and they eventually got let off the air. Because now, come on now. So, yes, at a popular time, ratings was up. But people start realizing when things get started, y'all start taking too far of the ratings. That's what Top Model was doing. That's what the Bad Girls Club was doing. That's what a lot of shows doing. Because the viewers watching it, y'all decided to go further. No, stick what it was. And then maybe you will continue on with the show. But no. But nonetheless, I'm getting older. A lot of the shows is not pleasing me anymore. It rightfully so other people. So let's listen to what Sherry Separate gonna say. Because I said understand Sherry, but I said understand Sherry, but at the same time, nobody bashed Tyra and make it seem like Tyra didn't do good. We understand her and we want it, but we also have the right to criticize what she did. And she explained to the contents of what it is, like how social media wasn't prevalent back then, how it was a different time, how she had to fight, how she had to make a change. We see all that. We will understand everything she said. As I agree with you, Sherry. But at the same time, she cannot escape accountability of how she handled the way. And she did say that in hindsight. Now she said, no, I messed up. I did mess up things. But stand on that. Don't say that and they pass the buck. And that's the problem that we had. So people had the right to call her out. Doesn't mean that we didn't understand the sacrifice, the stuff she had to go through as a Black woman to make a change in the industry. We understand that. That doesn't take away to what she did to the ladies. All right, let's see what Sherry's got to say.
No, about never. People don't understand when we are in power, the battles we got to fight that you will never know about. Never. To keep a show on the air, there are things that we have to do that people will tell us, if you want to stay on the air, this is what you got to do. And we got to weigh the options. And sometimes we make bad decisions and we look up and we go, in hindsight, maybe I should not have done it. I've been up all night watching Netflix's documentary about Tyra Banks and America's Next Top Model. When I tell you I was hooked, I understand why people are mad. I do understand. But I also say, you have to understand the time that this all happened was in 2003. Reality TV was the wild, wild west back then. Every show was trying to outdo each other to stay on the air. We had people that were eating rats on Survivor. We had people getting in Nevada spiders on Fear Factor. Sucked to their faces. I cannot forget that Tyra still, that was a young Black woman trying to make it in the reality TV game. Like it just, now we have a plethora of TV shows. We're not naive to what goes on behind the scenes in reality shows today. So we're trying to compare a time today that we know a lot to a time when there was nothing like this show on the air. We're not taking into account the battles that this Black woman had to fight just to stay on the air for other people to come on the air. In the documentary, they said no network wanted to pick up the show except UPN. Everybody said no. As a woman who was pitched a bunch of shows and tried to get her own talk show, I understand that. Let me tell you something. I bet you if Heidi Klum had shopped the show around and every model looked like Gigi Hadid, it'd have been picked up immediately. Immediately. There's a lot of stuff that we did not know back then that would not have happened if this show aired now. People are blaming Tyra for allowing them to cut a Black woman's hair wrong. I remember that when they cut the girls from New York and she was bald and they cut it, she had bald patches. We didn't have the sensitivities behind the scenes back then that we do now. Nowadays, if you have a Black talent, they make sure to get Black stylists. That's what we had to fight for to get. What people don't understand is the battles that this woman probably had to fight just to keep it inclusive. She came to them saying, I want a diverse cast. I want Black women. I want Latin women. I want plus size women. And everybody said no, because the industry standard looked like one thing. So she couldn't protect everybody, nor did she own the show. Now, and I'm not saying that the show didn't do terrible things, because it did. But I just want to think about it in the context of which it happened. And also there was another thing. There was no social media back then to hold people accountable. Social media is good and it's bad, but what social media does is it advocates for people. If there had been, because like Shandy said, nobody gave me a cell phone. Shandy was off because she had slept with somebody other than her boyfriend, was in a jacuzzi with other men. They would have, now if that show was on, they would have had an intimacy coach. They would have had psychologists and therapists on the show to help these girls. Back then they didn't know about any of that. So that's what I'm saying. It was a different time, and there were battles that she was fighting, because you always think about the long game. I want the show to stay on the air. I want more Black women to come on. I want more plus size women. You remember Isis? When Isis came on the show, Isis was trans, I believe. She would not have made it on season 1. They would not have let her be on that show. You remember Winnie Harlow? Mama, you know I know you. I'm passionate about what I'm saying. Winnie Harlow is an amazing woman with vitiligo. Back then, in the first season, she probably would not have made it. But what we know now, we accept, we love the trans community. We accept our skin now. But back then, when I tell you the battles, people don't understand. When we are in power, the battles we got to fight that you will never know about. Never. To keep a show on the air, there are things that we have to do that people will tell us, if you want to stay on the air, this is what you got to do. And we got to weigh the options. And sometimes we make bad decisions and we look up and we go, in hindsight, maybe I should not have done it. But I just want to open the door and give a platform to people who look like me. People don't understand.
Amazingly horrible.
So that was Sherry, and I know I agree with most of the stuff that she's saying. I think the part that I had to push back on is like, yeah, she said if Heidi Klum Bullet was Gigi Hadid, everybody liked it. Yes, because that was the standard. But Tyra Vision was against the standard. So when you're against the standard, you have to approach this a different way. Don't approach it with the lens of the industry lens when you're supposed to push the narrative boundaries against it. So no, you don't criticize these ladies for not being thin when you wanted to have a diverse cast. So no, I don't want to hear that, because at the end of the day, you got the opportunity, show something different. That's the problem I had. Show something different. Yes, these ladies is different from the standard of what models are at that time. But your vision was to change that. So by changing that, you don't criticize that with the standards of what industry was at the time. That's the problem I had. You lost the plot. You lost the plot. You should embrace every individual how they are and push the standards. And yes, it was not perfect. And she didn't make mistakes. But at the end of the day, yes, understand the hardship, the battles, and yes, Sherry was right. At that time, it's different and what is now. So what was unacceptable, what is not then is going to be unacceptable now. What acceptable then was unacceptable now, and what happened then, it will not happen now. So yes, I agree. We understand the Tyra had to fight the battles and everything, but how she handled a lot of things, I don't agree with. I don't think how she handled her friends. I don't agree how she stood up and took a stance and whatnot. Remember how when she wanted the Latino lady and she was going back and forth, let's move Neves, and they say, you know what, you can't do too much, Tyra. But she still took a stance. Why she didn't do that later on, will continue on with the rest of the season. She started becoming a person saying, oh, no, but then you saying you was part of editing and then you say you wasn't. So I said, no, you was part, just as much a part. So don't escape that. So we understand everything that Shay was saying, that how it was different, how you had to fight, how things had to happen. So we get that. But you don't approach it with the same lens in the industry. That's the problem I had. And I hope people understand that what I'm saying. Hopefully y'all understand. Well, other than that, we are not taking away.
It's Kristen Bell, and as this year's host of the Actor Awards,
Oh, shut up. Hope that don't affect mess up my video. Hope I understand. But that was my take on it. If I missed anything, y'all put down in the comment section down below. Let me know in the chat or anything. And replay game. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all like the button. Thank you, Jasmine, for the Cash App. I saw it. Jay Couture, I saw it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the Cash App. And hopefully I gave you insight and whatnot. And I'm Izzy's. We good over here. And just knowing that Tyler, we cannot take away what you did. But we just want to understand that accountability comes a long way. And if you want to do a cycle 25, you cannot do what you did in the first 24 cycles of Top Model in this day and age. Now, a lot of people's eyes is on your show. If you do come back, and your show will be ridiculed and fine-tuned left to right if you continue to do what you did to the girls in the other shows, knowing that the industry is different and your vision is supposed to be the same. So, until then, y'all, I appreciate y'all coming through. I love y'all. And if I didn't miss anything, put that in the comment section down below. Peace out. All right, lady, y'all. Talk to you. Peace out. Have a great weekend. And see y'all soon. My next live will be the book review, and then we're going to do Married to Medicine review, Traders, and Bill Collector. All right. Talk to you later.